Good afternoon, everybody, and great to be here. Yes, so the green one. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about a community solar garden, and I'm sure in this room everyone has a pretty good idea of what that is, but I'll just give a definition so that we're all talking about the same thing. So a community solar garden is really, and it could be a community wind garden or a community bioenergy garden. It's not restricted to solar, it just means a community renewable facility, really. But it's the point of what I'm talking about is it's a centralized facility, so it's not behind the meter. It's out there on a greenfield site, or maybe not so greenfield, but it's centralized, and it has members, and that electricity is netted off at the members' premises. So this is a particular application of local electricity trading. It's not quite what Darius was talking about, because it's not peer-to-peer trading, you know, where you're buying and selling from lots of people. It's a centralized facility which is putting out output, and that output is going to its members. So it does need that netting off facility. And the way we have looked at it is we're assuming that that's on a time of use basis, so it's netted off when the thing is actually generated, but they don't all run like that. So the crucial question is this, you know, you can build a community, you know, you can build a centralized facility, that's not difficult. Of course, the question is, does it stack up? How does the money work? So the way it works in this model is households or businesses invest in the centralized facility. That's netted off. It appears as a credit on your bill. If it's netted off on a time of use basis, then that means, you know, there will be times when your facility is generating when it's not being used. And in the way we've looked at that model, at that point you would get a feed-in tariff as if it was generating on your roof. Yeah, and I've already said that. It appears as a credit on the bill. So this is also really important. Under current market rules, you will just be paying network charges as normal. There is no credit for using, you know, for having distributed generation. So the only bit that's going to be netted off is the energy portion of your bill, and that's really important to remember, because it means the amount of payment amount of value that you get for it is really different from a behind-the-meter system. I'm going to be talking about this more. In fact, now I'm going to. So what this slide shows is this is what you get the return on each kilowatt hour of solar from your generator. This one is if it's behind the meter on your roof. You're effectively getting all of the volume charges for your electricity is the value you get from every bit of generation if you're using it at home. So the network volume charges, the retail, the energy costs, so quite a bit. That just reflects how your bill is made up. If you're doing local electricity trading under current rules, all you'll get the energy cost, you know, the energy portion of that bill will be netted off, and a bit of the retail margin probably. If our market was different, then you'd get a bit of the network as well. Not all of it, but some of it, because you're still using part of the network. Over here on the right is what happens in the US. And you will have heard, I think, Kandash talking about, you know, there are lots of solar gardens set up in the US, and this is because the way they've organized it is somewhat differently. So what happens there is on electricity from a solar garden that's netted off at someone's house, they don't pay any network charges. So they get the energy cost value and the network charge value. That's not always passed on to the customer for those systems, but that's the kind of value that is available, which is why there's loads of them set up there. So it is more challenging to make the model work here. Not impossible, but more challenging. So I'm just going to show you, we did a business case, we did a feasibility, a trial for Moira and Swan Hill on how would a solar garden work there, and we worked through some of those calculations, and this was part of a much larger arena project. And this is, sorry, it's a bit of a complicated graph, but this is just what were the outcomes by investor type. So this is for a residential and this is for a business. This is saying, so what did they end up paying a year? This is before they bought into the solar garden, and then this is just with the trading. And this one on the right is what would happen if it was behind the meter. So behind the meter works out better. In that one, it did come out that it was economic, but only just. So it is you need to work it out quite carefully whether it's going to work. And that is, so the things that influence whether it's actually going to pay for itself is obviously what does your solar panel cost, and that's going right down. A really important one is what you pay for your energy. In other words, if the energy portion, that variable portion for energy of your bill is high, it's much easier to get a payback. And the other one, really probably the takeaway, is behind the meter has a better return. But I think this last point about how our market is set up is also really important. It is challenging if there is no credit given back on the network charges. And this really comes back to what Ross Garnaut said in the first, in that little video. He said, at the moment, the system has bias against distributed generation, and I certainly believe that that's reflected in the way we can't get any rebate on that network charge for distributed systems, but we can still make them work.